Hello friends, welcome to the Rio Moon Oracle. I'm Rhea. Welcome back to our Tarot Discovery series. So I'm back with the series finally. We've only got like 3 more cards after this one, which is exciting to finish up the Major Arcana finally. I didn't go back and rewatch my old videos, so we'll see if I still remember the structure for how I've done this. But today we're talking about the Moon card, one of my favorite cards actually. So our Moon card, our keywords for the Moon, where you have imagination, intuition, emotions, gut feeling, illusion, mystery, secrets, subconscious, dreams, fear, wildness, deception, instinct, complexity, and psychic, as in like psychic energy, psychic intuition, that kind of thing. Numerology wise, it's card number 18. So we have 1 plus 8 together equaling 9. So it's the end of a cycle again. It's another break card in the Major Arcana. The last time this happened was with the Hermit card. So similar energies there for taking time to reflect and kind of end this cycle, natural break and natural ending, and coming back around again. Astrologically associated with the moon, obviously. So that's Cancer energy, but it's also tied to Pisces. A lot of water energy there, and some Neptune influence as well for another planet coming in. So we got the moon, Neptune, Cancer, and Pisces all together for like astrological association. So I'm very tied to this card personally because I'm a Cancer moon, so that this card's important to me. And then also the Hermit is ruled by Virgo, which is my sun sign. So in the original Rider's Way, which the image will be posted up for this one for us to take a look at. In the original Rider's Way, we've got both a dog and a wolf. So we have the complexities of the wildness being tamed and being free. The towers in the back kind of coming back into that duality of choice, and then that like lobster kind of crawfish coming out in that like the depths of emotion because it's coming out of the water, moving up that path. So the original Rider's Way is interesting to kind of look at. It's not current symbology, I'd say I really am connected to, but the common symbology we'll see as we're getting into the other cards I've picked for us today. I've got 3. We have the moon, obvious symbol. You have to have the moon in the moon card, right? But it's that light and illumination coming in, illumination in the night that we might not have had, and it depends on the cycle of the moon, right, for how much illumination we do have in the night and those shadows and mysteries. There's a lot of water energy with it, so we see water in the original Right-Away imagery. We'll see it in these cards coming up as well, tying us to those deeper emotions, that subconscious energy. The moon takes being around at night, obviously, so that night is our mysteries, the shadows, the kind of shadow realm, that dream realm. And then you'll see pretty common in these cards coming up here with those other signs, the wolf being present a lot. Wolf tied very commonly is with the moon, but that wildness coming up as we see with the original Right-Away as well with the wolf and the dog. So the first card I'm picking up right here, so we got the Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte, this one really shows the reflection and the emotions and the subconscious and the dreams. I think I really like it for that. So we see the moon kind of like distorted in the water, but if you look at the chalice next to our skeleton figure right here, the moon is fully reflected in that chalice, those emotions, drinking those emotions, being involved in those emotions. And what's really nice that it's kind of hard to see at first glance with this card, what I like is you see the reflection of our skeleton figure, the Santa Muerte. They're all skeletons, but we see the reflection of that skeleton figure in the water, and we get a clearer vision of that skeleton with the reflection in the water. You can't see the skeleton's face head on. It's just only through the reflection, which I think is very interesting. So ton of water imagery here. Looking a little bit closer, you can kind of see through the water, but you see a lot of things on top of the water. And we've got that connection to both the ground and the deeper intuition, because one hand of the skeleton figure's in the water, kind of on the water, the other's on a rock. So that's kind of grounding of that psychic energy, grounding of that emotions. Very beautiful card, lots of blue energy here. Heavy water influence. So that's something to kind of keep in mind with the Santa Muerte. Speaking of heavy water, though, our Light Sears Tarot also has heavy water energy. In this one, we see our figure completely submerged in the water, completely submerged in the emotions and the feelings and the depths, the subconscious, the moon hanging over on top above the water, but you can see that light of the moon illuminating the kind of depths of those emotions as that person's falling deeper and deeper into the water. On either side, though, we see our wolves here. We got one black one and one white one, and The wolves, again, representing that wildness, that duality of the choice, the subconscious, where everything takes place all at once, good and bad, right? So beautiful, beautiful card. I like this one a lot for just the colors, the depth of the blue. I try to pull this one into the thumbnail too. So really, really beautiful card. I think a lot of focus on the feminine energy in both these cards, right? The Santa Muerte and the figure in the light Sears tarot, they're female presenting. So we have a lot of that feminine energy coming through with the moon as well, which makes sense. That's femininity, that's intuition. Those are all kind of tied into more feminine energy as well. Finally, the last card I pulled for us is the one from the Halloween Tarot. This one I thought was interesting. I liked this one a little bit more. So our wolf imagery is fully integrated with the human figure itself as a werewolf. And I think that's really, really fun because it's talking, we see in the original right away, right, the dog and the wolf representing our more animal instincts, and one being tame, one being wild. But with the werewolf here, right, that's our human side and the animal side in one being, in one figure as the werewolf here, and the werewolf coming into that transformation energy by looking at the moon. Kind of, we can see that it looks like they're having just transformed or kind of in mid-transformation with the shirt being torn at the back. And some of that other imagery there, that crawfish is coming back up in this card specifically from the original right away, and kind of the flag on top in the like tree right there. It looks like it's like a broken sign or something, which is interesting, but kind of showing the way. In the original right away imagery, we have that like little river creek that the crawfish is climbing and like following down as kind of the path. And then this one has the sign that has like an arrow pointing where it's like, hey, the path is this way. The moon is actually really kind of hard to see at first in this card, in my opinion, because it looks like it's so big. It looks like it's almost, it takes up the entire night sky, right? So that top right corner here, it's so big and it's illuminating, and it's taking up almost that entire bit of that corner. So at first glance, it looks like it's like a sun almost, or it looks like it's just part of the open sky. And then you get a little bit further in and you're like, oh, there's stars. Okay, that's the moon. And so it just shows how the fears and the subconscious and those feelings, those repressed emotions, maybe with the repression of like the werewolf and those being forced out into that wildness, into that craziness, that madness that's often associated with the moon as well, can come out and be overwhelming, overtake us, right? So 3 very interesting cards, a little bit similar energy, but some very different in how it can present. The moon card, as I was doing my research, it's has more negative connotations or associations than I knew when it's in the upright. But I've never taken the card personally that way. It's just kind of how I read it. I have so much strong association and positive association with the moon. Grew up with a lot of moon influence in media. I love Sailor Moon, for example. So I've always had a lot of positive association with the moon. So the moon card ends up being one of my favorites anyway, just purely for the fact of the symbology and the image of the moon. But other meanings for the moon card here, so we're talking about trusting our instincts and intuition, deep emotions, following your gut, lots of vivid dreaming coming out with the moon. When the moon is full in the night sky, you can have vivid dreams. So there are lots of fears. We got female and feminine traits again coming in. We see this with our feminine presenting cards, people in the cards, maternal instincts as well. So we get that receptiveness, but and then also with this, there's a struggle for sanity. Things might not be as they seem. So it calls us to reflect on our feelings, reflect on the situation, because if things aren't as they seem, right, we have to bring in that intuition. We have to bring in our gut feeling. We have to bring in our instincts. So if we bring in that intuition and awareness, we can get a clarity on the situation. So for me personally, it's just a more positive card. There's a lot of power behind the moon and a lot of peace for me. So that's how I tend to read it a little bit more, but I do understand and pay attention to the original meanings and what happens with the moon. For reversals, we got a lot of fear and confusion, lies, deceit, chaos. There's prejudice and isolation, confusion, madness, keeping secrets, being manipulative, self-deception, nightmares, repressed emotions coming up. So the repressed issues and emotions, they can resurface with the moon card showing up in a spread. We can see that they're coming through, and when the negative aspects of the card are being dealt with potentially, then we can see that deception is being revealed. We maybe have enlightenment, that illumination coming in from the moon. We feel relief and resolution, and maybe then we're being honest with ourselves and facing reality. So some of the ways the negative or reverse side of the card can be read depending on how it's being reflected in the spread and what else is going on around it, and the energy being present when we're reading it. So the moon card, usually when it's coming out in the spread, is going, for yes or no question, is going to mean a no. And I just really, really enjoy the moon card. I like it a lot. I think it's a really beautiful card in almost any tarot deck I've seen it in. And I just personally have a real big connection to the moon. So it's one that I enjoy seeing and like reflecting on. So we got our just 3 different cards. They're fun and to see, and it's cool to see how the moon just pops up in lots of different ways and lots of different feelings, because there's so much mystery and a different realm of possibility with the moon card specifically. So, well, that's all I got for us today. It's been interesting to dive back into this research, like look at my notes, how extensive they are. I'm still using that Learning the Tarot One Card at a Time book I found on Amazon. But next time we're hopping into the sun, we're wrapping up our Tarot Discovery series here at the Major Arcana. So that's all I have for us today, folks. I'll see you next time. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.